This is the F-2H Banshee. This was the second jet we designed. Note that this also had two engines. Our company always believed that the second engine was worth the extra cost because it added so much to the safety factor. And that's the way it has turned out. The Banshee was the only one of our aircraft to get into actual combat. It had a big role in the Korean War, mostly as a ground attack airplane in close support of troops. We also made a photo reconnaissance version of the Banshee. It was the first of three recces we built. We delivered nearly 900 Banshees. The Navy loved them. Not all of our airplanes, of course, went into production. This is an XF-85 Goblin, and we only made two of them. This was a great idea. It was an airplane which was designed to be launched from a B-36 bomber, go out and destroy attacking aircraft, and then return to its mothership. It worked, too. But it was still in the prototype stage when the B-36 began to phase out and be replaced by faster bombers. Then we got a contract from the Air Force to design and build this XF-88, a long-range fighter. Boy, were we delighted with this contract. This was really going to put us in the big leagues. We flew it at Edwards Air Force Base in California. It was fast and had plenty of range. Then one day we got the sad news. The Air Force didn't have the money to put it into production. But our company didn't give up. They spent a lot of money improving the design, and eventually it paid off. And in the meantime, we got an order to design the third in our series of fighters, the F-3H Demon. The Navy wanted a single-engine aircraft this time. We had quite a lot of trouble with an underpowered engine for a while, but we bounced back. And the Demon became a good airplane. It was used in the Lebanon and Quemoy crisis in 1958. And the Navy used it for many missions: combat air patrol, bombing, strafing, so forth. Just about the time we first flew the Demon in 1951, the company bought from the city of St. Louis this big plant at the airport. The company paid about $10 million for the plant, which I think was more than we had earned in the 12 years we'd been in business. This must have been a big decision, but there's no doubt it paved the way for our subsequent growth. One condition of this purchase was that the money the company paid be spent on airport improvements only. The year after we moved into our new plant, the Air Force finally decided to place a production order with us for that XF-88. But by that time, we had designed a supersonic plane, and we wanted the Air Force to buy it. This was a risky business because we knew it might open the door for a new competition, and we might lose the business entirely. The Air Force finally bought our proposal, and we started work on the F-101 Voodoo. This is a great airplane.
The F-101 Voodoo, a great airplane indeed, and one whose achievements will live long in the memory of the men and women of McDonnell who designed and built it. The F-101A Voodoo, the long-range fighter bomber which set the world speed record of 1,207 miles per hour in Operation Firewall in 1958. The RF-101 Reconnaissance Voodoo, which in Operation Sunrun raced from Los Angeles to New York City in 3 hours 7 minutes and completed the round trip in 6 hours 46 minutes. The F-101B, two-place interceptor for the Air Defense Command. The F-101 Voodoo, the first supersonic aircraft to carry nuclear weapons. The first aircraft to be exposed in flight to an H-bomb explosion and then return safely. And in October 1962, an aircraft that flew scores of missions at treetop level over the island of Cuba, bringing back vital photographs that revealed the Soviet missile buildup only 90 miles off our shores. The F-101 Voodoo, a great airplane indeed.
Although fighter aircraft has been our principal business during the year, we've had a lot of activity in other fields. Here's a good example. The XV-1 converted plane that we developed for the Army. Now, as you can see, it operated like a helicopter. And then it went into horizontal flight, hitting speeds of 200 miles an hour. This was a research vehicle. We made only two. We had previously done a lot of development work on helicopters. We made the world's first ramjet helicopter. We called it Little Henry. We made the world's first twin-engine helicopter. We called it Whirlaway. And we made a flying crane, which for a little fella carried a lot of weight. We've been in the missile business too since 1943, when we started work on the Gargoyle, a guided bomb. Later we built the Katydid, a target drone. For the past 13 years, we've been producing the airframe and ramjet engine for the Navy surface-to-air Talos. Our biggest missile program was the Quail missile for the Air Force. Now, this was a complex piece of hardware to produce. We had a lot of people working on it, and we did practically the whole job, including the support equipment and the launch system. The Quail is a unique missile in that it has no warhead. It's strictly a decoy. The Quails are launched in coveys by B-52 bombers. And because they fly at the same speed and altitude of the bomber and create the same blip on an enemy radar, the enemy can't distinguish the bomber from the harmless Quails. We're still working on another missile concept which I think has good possibilities. An aeroballistic missile which flies within the atmosphere at hypersonic speeds. We launched 3 of these from Cape Canaveral in 1959. In addition to our missile, we also make an asset glide re-entry vehicle which flies at hypersonic speeds. Now, this is an extremely interesting product. In the first place, it's made out of so-called exotic metals which are terribly hard to fabricate. Secondly, we get some very valuable data on re-entry by winged space vehicles. Asset was first launched at the Cape in 1963. It traveled 11,000 miles an hour and landed right on the